Today's show is off the charts. My first guest played in the majors for 10 years and is currently the star manager of the LA Dodgers. He's a two-time World Series champ, and he's won NL Manager of the Year. My other guest is the president of baseball operations for the Dodgers. He was the GM of the Rays, where he won Executive of the Year, and is one of the best minds in baseball. And of course, he's a World Series champ. It's my absolute honor to welcome to Jake's Takes Dodgers manager Dave Roberts and Dodgers president Mr. Andrew Friedman. Legends, how you doing?
Quite the intro, Jake. That was really good.
That was really good, Jake. Well done, man. You nailed it.
You deserve it. Trust me, you deserve it. It's so nice of you guys to join me, especially together, by the way. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty incredible, and I do not take this for granted. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Major shout out to Dodgers owner Mr. Caston for being the fabulous guy that he is. But to the person that really makes the Dodgers so successful, the one and only Cheryl Rampy. Isn't she just the best?
She is.
Yeah, she's the engine behind this big machine. So she's fantastic.
Stan gets all the press, but Cheryl is the one doing everything.
Of course, you know how it works. By the way, I still look back from the videos from my trip to LA when Mr. Castman invited me. And I got to meet you both. And Manager Roberts, do you remember what you did for me, bringing me into the clubhouse, the dugout a couple moments before the game to meet Mookie? It was so nice of you.
I did. I just felt that you had a special day, and Mookie is one of your favorite players, and he's just such a great, personable guy. I just wanted to enhance your experience.
Oh my gosh, you definitely enhanced my experience. I could tell you that much. It was quite amazing. Anyway, so it's March now, and that means it's a great time of year because baseball's back. How's spring training going for you guys?
I'll start. It's going well. Obviously, I think that the first thing of note, which isn't so good for the Dodgers, is we lost our starting shortstop, Gavin Lux, for the year. He tore a ligament in a game against the Padres. So our hearts go out to Gavin, and his dream was to be the shortstop for the Dodgers. And so that's something that is tough for us to kind of, we've got to be sensitive to that. But as far as everyone else, our guys are ready to go, really excited for the season. And it's been cold here in Arizona, but I think that's behind us now. But we've been getting a lot of good work in.
Wait, when you say cold, you don't mean no, it can't be. Cold?
Not Toronto cold.
Oh, okay. Not like minus 55.
Yeah, sorry. I guess us West Coast or Southern California guys, we're not as tough as you Canadians up there in Toronto. So relative to Arizona, in the 40s is pretty cold.
So we get outside and it's like, oh, it's not negatives. Beautiful day outside. Anyway, I worked really hard on these questions. So you ready to do this?
Let's go.
Let's go. So this question's actually really for both of you, so I'm really happy. I would be happy to hear your thoughts on it. The Yankees are known to spend money, have one of the biggest and highest payrolls, and they're one of the most popular teams in baseball. And they usually go at the free agents, go all out and everything. But I saw a stat that really is just intriguing to me. It's that the Yankees have only won the AL 2 times in the last decade. That's the same amount as the Rays, one more than the Orioles. So the correlation between spending money and winning it isn't guaranteed. So what do you guys need to do in addition to spending money to put the Dodgers over the top and make them as successful as they are?
Well, I mean, obviously, it comes down to having as talented of a team as you can, and money definitely helps with that. But baseball is just different than basketball and football. The way the roster comes together, the way players complement one another, those things matter to navigate a regular season with the amount of injuries that do happen. So having depth and versatility definitely helps survive the marathon that is the regular season. And in the postseason, I mean, we see it every year. There are certain teams that get hot. A bullpen that's kind of a middling bullpen gets hot in October. A guy who hits in the bottom part of a lineup, turns into Barry Bonds. So you need some good fortune, but obviously, really talented players and a well-rounded team matters a lot. So the things we can control is having the most talent, the best prepared, and take our chances from there. And we feel really good about this team and the potential for it.
Yeah, this team looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, we got a really good ball club, and I think that just having the consistency of winning every year, it's not easy. It's not a rite of passage, and there's a lot of work that goes into the off season, the spring training, the season to sustain success and be consistent. So, yeah, I'm just very fortunate. We're very fortunate that we work, for the Dodgers.
Anyway, Manager Roberts, I wanted to ask you about the bullpen, specifically Evan Phillips. And I think Evan was your best arm last year. He looked so good with a 1.1 ERA and a .76 whip. And personally, I was hoping he would get a chance as the closer, but obviously you know best and you stuck with Kimbrel. But now that Kimbrel's gone, I'm just praying for Evan Phillips is in that role. Is that the plan?
So, yeah, we both love Evan as well, and this is, I think, his third organization, and it's a great story. It really is, and I think to have a player who's as intelligent, as curious, as open-minded, as talented as he is, he's got great stuff. It's mid 90s to upper 90s with a really wipeout slider, plus cutter, and then he's got great command. So all those components, those are hard to find. And also a guy who can handle high leverage situations. So he is certainly a guy that we trust. Whether he just specific to that role that you mentioned as closer, I'm not going to answer that yet because I think with us, Jake, there's other points in the game and certain games that, that sixth inning or the seventh inning might be the game and you might not get to the ninth inning. So the point being is that we value him as one of our highest leverage guys.
Of course, he is one of your highest leverage guys. He's one of the highest leverage guys in the entire MLB.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
What's he like as a person, by the way? Is he nice?
He's very nice. Very nice, very respectful. He's just a very sincere guy, married and just hard worker. He's a great teammate and he prepares really well.
Sounds like the all-around guy. Anyway, looking at the lineup, last year Trey Turner was batting third, even though he's traditionally a leadoff guy. And you had to figure out how to place Trey, Mookie, and Freddie at the top. And of course it sucks that Trey's gone, but now how do you plan to fill out your top three?
I'll let Andrew answer this one because we both talk about it all the time. But since I answered the last question, it's just kind of we think a lot similar. So I'll let Andrew kind of talk about it.
I think the easy way to kind of answer it, obviously, it's tough to lose somebody the caliber of Trey Turner, but we feel like there's a top five in our order in no particular order with Mookie, Will Smith, JD Martinez, Freddie, Muncy, that there are a lot of good debates about the right way to kind of order that. But the thing we feel good about is that we're going to score runs. And so one thing I know Doc spends a lot of time on and thinking about is for a particular series against the team, how their bullpen matches up, how much to vary the right-handed, left-handed hitters, because he knows on the other end how tough that is to manage a bullpen going through. And so it's just figuring out the right balance. They're all really good, and you could argue a lot of different ways. And so I think they're good arguments. And, I think the most important thing that we care about at the end of the day is scoring the most runs we can. And we feel like we're going to have a 9-man unit that is capable of putting up a lot of runs.
Speaking of Will Smith, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Not the pitcher, not the actor, definitely not the slapper, but the catcher. And a hitting catcher is just absolutely so rare nowadays. I mean, I'm from Toronto. I'm a Jays fan personally, so I'm a little spoiled with that. We just had 3. We traded 1 away. Kirk, Jansen, and Moreno, but Will Smith is such a great hitting catcher, and it's really, 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 really not so. It's like really rare nowadays. And how much does that add to your lineup having a catcher who can hit at a very high level?
It's huge. As Andrew talked about, guys that are kind of can hit at different parts of the order and impactful parts of the lineup. And Will Smith is very unique in the sense of being a plus defensive run preventer, working with the pitchers, the arm strength, but also in the batter's box to be a plus. And so his bat to ball, he looks over the baseball. And I say that because he swings at strikes, takes balls, something we value in a player. He has a great heartbeat. He knows how to drive and run. He can hit to all fields. He can hit a home run when you need it. But he's just, you know what, we got him out of Louisville. I think drafted him out of there. And he just really came on. And now he's one of the leaders in our ball club. And I feel really good at saying he's one of the top catchers in all of baseball.
Yeah, and to further that, I think what he does in the batter's box is pretty obvious, but I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he does behind the plate. I think the tandem of him and Austin Barnes, we have led in run prevention, 4 or 5 years in a row. And a lot of that obviously goes to our talented pitchers. A lot goes to our really good pitching coaches, but Austin Barnes and Will Smith have been in the middle of that as well, and a huge part of our ability to prevent runs.
Mr. Roberts, I'm pretty sure you just said that you drafted Will Smith, and I actually wanted to ask you, Mr. Friedman, about drafting and how you evaluate prospects. For baseball, we have Baseball America, we have MLB Pipeline, so many other rankings, but how much do you rely on these rankings versus how much do you just totally ignore them so that way you can make your own evaluations?
I think they're interesting to look at to try to get some feel for how maybe the industry or how other people are viewing certain players, but it doesn't go into our evaluation. We have really talented scouts who spend so many nights on the road in hotels, getting to know these players, getting to know their coaches, learning as much as they can, not just about the player's ability, but also as much as they can about them as men, as either 18 or 21-year-old men coming into their own and trying to get a feel for their work ethic, on top of the talent. And so we have a really talented amateur scouting group. I think so much of the success that we have had is tied to the success that we've had on the scouting and player development ends, and have not only provided really talented players for us at the major league level, but have also produced a lot of talented players that we've used in trade to acquire Yu Darvish, Manny Machado, Mookie Betts, Max Scherzer, and Trey Turner. I mean, those things are possible because of the amazing work that those guys do, because not only have we traded away a lot of players, we still have a lot of really talented players coming.
Yeah, and I think just to piggyback that, Jake, it's a lot of it is, trust in your own personnel, the people that we have in the organization, as Andrew said, because I don't think we as an organization spend a lot of time looking at prospect rankings and things like that. Those are great publications, but it's like we got to trust our own process and how our own scouts, value and look at players and the information we get and make decisions like that.
Here's my example. Brennan Davis of the Cubs, right? He's so skilled, so athletic, has so much power, such an amazing ball player, and he fell from a top 20 prospect in the rankings this year. Personally, I would take him all day. Am I wrong to say Brennan Davis is a top 20 prospect?
He's a really talented player, and I think so much of it is there are top prospects who come through the minor leagues and are impactful major league players. There's also guys who are not on that list that make it up to the major leagues and become impactful major league players. And, again, I think those lists are great. The publications are great, but obviously don't have access to as much information, at least if a team's doing their job well, as we do. And so I think, they're interesting. I like looking at, Baseball America's organizational farm system rankings that just came out. I like looking at it. But if we're looking to make a trade, we're going off our scouts, our information, and what we're looking at.
Understood. I get that now. Okay. Anyway, Manager Roberts, I've never been in the clubhouse, but I just have that feeling that a guy like Justin Turner, sorry, is gonna be hard to replace. Can you talk to me for a second about how much he meant to the team, and looking at your current team, who do you think's gonna step into that role?
Well, he is going to be missed. He's tough to replace. He's done a lot for me personally. He's done a lot for the Dodgers, a lot for the fan base on the field, off the field. He's our leader in all the postseason as far as hits, runs batted in, and possibly home runs. But he was a great Dodger. We wish him well. I think as far as replacing, it's not going to be one person. I think with us, you look at Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. We mentioned Will Smith, Clayton Kershaw, JD Martinez. There's a lot of guys I think that we have that can sort of fill that leadership void. And I don't think there's another Justin Turner anyway. And that's what makes him unique. And not that it's good or bad for the guys that we have, but I think as a group, we can take care of the leadership in the clubhouse, on the field. And I also believe that, we have a lot of good young players that are kind of cut from that same mold. So we're in a good spot still.
And they got the best manager. Who needs a player?
Hey, Jake, what I tell players is what makes a good manager? Good players. So fortunately, we have a lot of good players too, but thank you, man.
What's it called? By the way, my favorite moment of all time, like obviously not in the moment, but now looking back at it, is I think it was the World Series, and I was watching the game, and all of a sudden the game just stops. And like hectic going around, like it was so hectic on the field. And Justin Turner, turns out that he has like corona, and like everybody was freaking out. And like obviously in the moment it was like I was like, "Oh gosh, what's happening?" whatever. But now looking back at it, it's so crazy that happened. Am I wrong?
I'll let Andrew take that one.
Yeah, it was surreal for sure. I dreamed of being a part of a World Series championship and what those moments would feel like going down. And I guess it sums up 2020 perfectly, that from the seventh inning through the eighth, I'm with our trainer. We're getting Justin off the field. We're going to get Justin's wife. I missed a lot of the eighth inning. I heard Mookie's homer from in the clubhouse walking through. So it's definitely a different experience. And also for Justin, who grew up a Dodgers fan, wanted nothing more than to be on the field when the Dodgers won a World Series. And so my heart was breaking for him as well.
Anyway, last question, and it's for both of you. Now that Clayton Kershaw is nearing the end of his career, and we have to start debating if he's the greatest pitcher of all time. The thing that was holding people back was that he didn't have enough postseason success. But now that he's got a World Series, do you think he's the greatest pitcher of all time?
Well, I think, Jake, for him to be in that conversation is a big feather in his cap. And I think that's the great thing about sports is you can always debate it. I think that what he's done, the longevity of his career, the performance, he's in that conversation rightfully so. I do think that he's taken a little too hard of a hit on the postseason narratives. And that's a different episode for us to talk about. But I'm just lucky he's a Dodger, and I'm just so happy with what he's done in his career.
Yeah, that was very well said. I think from my standpoint, what's been amazing about being around him every day is he's without question, in my opinion, the best pitcher of this generation. Just the longevity and what he's been able to accomplish, but it's also been the way he's been able to reinvent himself and to watch the way he's adapted to different things that have come up and grown and learned. I think he would be the first to say that he was pretty stubborn early on in his career. And the way he has evolved, I think, has helped contribute to the success that he's had. I mean, last year, he was really, really good, which I think speaks to who he is, how he's wired, his makeup. But I think, as you look back over history, there's so many really talented players. so many talented pitchers. He's definitely in that conversation for sure. And I think from his standpoint, it may be over sooner, but if he wanted to keep going, he would absolutely be able to do it. And, he's joked about, who knows, maybe when I'm 36, the changeup will be my out pitch. And it's funny when people say that with him, I wouldn't bet against it.
The Brady of baseball. I could see it. 46-year-old Kershaw pitches in the World Series.
I don't think his wife Ellen would go for that one, but he certainly could.
Mr. Friedman and Manager Roberts, it's actually insane that I got this huge honor to have you on my show to talk some baseball. Did you guys have fun with me today?
Oh, we had a blast. You're the best, man.
Really enjoyed it. We respect your hustle a lot. It was great meeting you last year, and we're glad that this worked out and you had us on.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Hope to see you at the ballpark in LA.
I love that. And we'll go Dodgers, Blue Jays in the World Series. How about that?
Yeah, sounds great.
Have you adopted us as your National League team?
Oh yeah. Big time.
Okay.
Don't worry. Big time.
I was about to hit end on the Zoom if you would have said no, so good answer.